I am so thrilled to be here with all of you, and it's been, I don't know, maybe a year or so since I've seen so many familiar faces. Well, welcome everyone. I'm going to open. Welcome parents, elected officials, and concerned citizens of New York City. My name is Yatin Chu, and I'm co-president of Place NYC. Place was formed by a group of parents just over a year ago to advocate for high-quality, challenging education for every student in all of New York City public schools by increasing the academic rigor and expanding access to accelerated programs. We support increasing gifted and talented seats and expanding admissions criteria so that families in every community have access to local G&T programs. We support expanding honors classes in middle schools to prepare students for academically challenging high schools. We support creating additional specialized high schools to accommodate the overwhelming demand for academically accelerated, rigorous, and advanced high school education. Parents are joined by our elected officials today to demand the city put education first. Yes, we thank the many organizations and parent leaders across the 5 boroughs who came together to make this happen. To speak more about why we're here today is Place Co-President Lucas Liu.
My name is Lucas Liu, and I am the co-president of Place NYC. And I want to thank everybody who came out today to support our students, our families, our schools, and a big thank you to Yatin for all the work that she's done to organize today. So, this pandemic has made life difficult for all New Yorkers. You know, our students, our teachers, principals, families, and has absolutely affected our schools as well. But we can't blame everything on COVID. Blended and remote learning may be new. But let's be honest, many of these issues that we're experiencing with our schools today were either avoidable or made worse by the constant changing policies, the last-minute decision-making, lack of communication, lack of transparency from the chancellor and mayor. Quality New York City public school education has not only been spiraling downwards under their leadership, but it's also been in constant crisis as well. And now, they're attacking education in order to hide their failures. That's right. We have over 30,000 families waiting on an overdue G&T announcement, and another 160,000 families still waiting to hear about middle school, high school, and the Shazam. And we know what will happen in the spring when students are informed of their G&T and middle school, high school Shazam placements. We know the results will be unacceptable, but the mayor and chancellor will simply blame the test, and not the fact that many of our students are not receiving the quality, rigorous education that they deserve that needs to start at elementary school. It's as if they want their legacy to be, how much damage can they do to our New York City public school education, and make sure as many families as possible leave the city for the suburbs, go to private school or to charter schools before their tenure is up next year. And they are certainly on course for achieving that legacy. Mayor de Blasio and Chancellor de Blasio, sometimes it seems like it's the same person these days. But maybe they are the same person. Maybe the mayor has finally woken up and realized that he should lose confidence in the chancellor. Maybe that's what's happening. You know, it's something we've all already realized. But if that's the case, we're just replacing bad with bad, right? So what we're here today for, right? They want to wake up and they wonder, why are our parents, our families always upset these days? Why are we upset because we are left out of the decision-making process? Why are we upset because we are being informed at the last minute of changes that are happening? The chancellor has repeatedly said that they're building and flying the plane at the same time. Well, this is probably the worst plane that's ever been built, and it's being piloted by a chancellor and mayor who clearly don't know how to fly it. But they've definitely managed to burn through a lot of money, a lot of our taxpayer money, a lot of time, and a lot of resources. You know, 6 feet is for social distancing, but right now it feels like they're trying to put our schools 6 feet under. So it's up to us. It's the New York City public school parents, it's the students, it's our elected representatives, and organizations like Place NYC, New York City Residents Alliance, Safest, CAGNY, who actually care about making sure that all students in all schools have the opportunity to receive a quality education. We're the ones who are the solution. We're the ones who need to fix this plane and to fix New York City public education and to make sure our schools provide an education that's first class and not one that's leaving our students back at the gate. So I want to thank everybody for coming out today. Our work is not done yet, and it won't be done until we get our schools back up and off the ground. So thank you again. Everybody, please stay safe.
Hi everyone. I want to introduce our next speaker, my partner in crime in organizing this rally and press conference, Mr. Phil Wong. He is CC24 president. He is the president of CAGNY, and he is a Place member, a founding member of Place. Welcome, Mr. Wong.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Thank all the elected officials for coming to support us today. I would like to start with a story. I don't have a speech. I have a couple of stories to tell you. I get to tour a lot of schools as president of CEC24, and other schools outside of CEC24, like those in Chinatown or in Brooklyn or even parts of Queens. And there's unquestionably an unequal allocation of resources. We have schools that have no nurses. We have schools with inadequate counselors. We have schools that we don't have enough teachers. This is the core of the inequality everybody's talking about. Okay? That's why we have students in some schools that do better than the others, because some schools have better resources. Right? And let me answer that. By getting rid of the testing, you're hiding the problem. The testing actually tells you the problem. It tells you where the resources need to be allocated. It tells you where needs to work, which schools need work, where do we need fix. Getting rid of the testing not only hides the problem, it gets worse by shuffling kids around so every classroom will look diverse to make it look like there's equality. There's no equality here. There's no equality here. Hear me out. Now, school started, we are the second month, or school started for 2 months already. The marking period ended yesterday. And as of today, there's still no grading policy. We have principals looking for directions from Central. We have superintendents waiting for guidance and instructions. And what do they get? Crickets! Nothing. Crickets! Nothing. Where's the leadership? Where's the accountability? Now, we have very competent superintendents that they're keeping schools open with all the budget cuts, with all the furloughs. They're working very, very hard to basically run the school. But with directives from Central that they cannot override, they have their hands tied. Make no mistake, there are policies directly from Central that changes a couple of times a week. When they hear something in the morning, in the afternoon, whoops, we're not doing that. We're going to change that. That is very, very bad. And it's not just with curriculum, but with COVID testing, with school opening and school closures. Okay? And we're here with a really simple message. Right? Follow the school calendar. Follow the screening and the testing that you have promised us back in June. You know this is coming. Everybody knows school starts in September. Everybody knows there's going to be some remote learning. And guess what? Nobody's prepared for it. There's still schools that's hiring teachers. There's still schools hiring nurses. And meanwhile, they can stop any child in the hallways that you're going to get tested with or without your parents, without your permission. If you don't get tested, you don't agree, you are learning remote. Parents are more outraged on this than anything else. Because really simple, they want to be there, or they want to take it to the pediatrician. This is not happening. This is not happening, right? So it's a thing of such a traumatic experience for second or third grader, fourth grader to sit there without their parents and then have a cotton swab sticking in the nostrils and get tested, no matter how deep it is. And we're dealing with that every day in every school in New York City. Back here, back to our theme. Our theme is education first. Education first means that we have a merit-based system. Stick to it. Stick to it. Offer the testing, offer the GNT testing, offer the SHSAT, offer the SHSAT, offer the GNT classes, and keep your promises. Because we were told that everything will be back to normal when September comes. And right now, we hear nothing. So here we are today. We ask all the elected officials to send a message to the mayor in Carranza, right? We want the school calendar implemented. Bring the testing as you promised. Bring the SHSAT as you promised, as well as state exams and all the other programs. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We have some really wonderful elected officials here with us. I want to start the program with Assembly Member William Colton. He's from the 47th Assembly District in Brooklyn.
All right. You know, some things that are so simple and so obvious, it is amazing that top supposed educators don't get it. You know, you have a school calendar. You have to implement it. Yes, you may have to make some changes or some adjustments, but you don't throw it out. You have to provide quality education for children. And yet, you know, I think part of the problem here is that there's a difference between ideology and reality. Equality should be reality. It's not. It's treated as the equivalent of ideology. I was a teacher for 11 years in the New York City school system. And in 3 of those years, I had the opportunity and the privilege of teaching a IGC class. That's what they called it then. A gifted class. And I taught in Bedford-Stuyvesant. And all of my students were African American. And they were reading 3 and 4 years above grade level. They had no problem passing the SHSAT. The majority of students in Brooklyn Tech were African American because Brooklyn Tech was their school of choice. They passed the SHSAT and they did well in Brooklyn Tech. But what happened? All of a sudden, they started eliminating all the gifted programs in those schools. They eliminated it in the school I taught in. Why? I can't figure out a practical reason, a positive reason why they would eliminate it. It was helping children get educated and get quality education. Now, one of the problems educators saw was that parents were coming in and saying, my child can't read, but the child who's living a block away from me reads very well. Why? Why can't my child read? And the education system was not able to provide an answer. So they closed down the IGC classes so that the problem would disappear. The problem didn't disappear. The problem became that more children lost the opportunity of having a gifted class. That's the problem we're facing now. And it's not because of the test. It's because of the decisions that educators are making. And those decisions are not being based upon educational reality. They're being based upon either an ideology that doesn't work in practice, or they're being based upon the need to hide a reality that these educators don't know how to change. Go back to when you had gifted classes. Go back to when children, no matter what their color, no matter what their ethnicity, no matter what their race, no matter where they came from, use the SHSAT to get advanced for themselves and their families. Yes, sir. Those were the days. And what we needed to do was to expand that to all children. All children deserve a quality education. Now I have a bill in Albany. All children deserve a quality education. All children, all children, all children, all children, all children, all children, all children. And we can do it if we listen to you, the parents, the teachers, the staff, the children. If all of the people who are part of the school family raise your voices and demand it. Demand all children deserve a quality education. And the SHSAT is not what's preventing that. It is not the problem. The problem is the fact that educators have got to start looking at how to improve the education of all children. And let's start doing that now. Thank you.
Next, I have the pleasure of introducing Assemblymember Peter Abadi from the 49th District in Brooklyn.
Thank you very much. You know, we all know why we're here. My colleague just said it. You know, we need transparency. We need this mayor. We want the exams. And now what's going on with COVID, we need them to give us guidance. We have to know when to test, when parents should prepare. They are hiding it, because it's no secret. I think they're just trying to hide it and postpone it to get rid of it. And that's what we don't want. Why don't we just say it right out there? They should start planning. They had, you know, they've screwed everything up so far. Here's an opportunity to get something right. They should be planned. They had all summer to plan. We brought up before, there's a school schedule. There's a school schedule. They have to get to the parents and let us know when they're planning, registration, the test itself. If not, what are we going to have? No freshman classes? No sixth grade classes in the schools? What are they planning? Do they think they're just going to come in and then say, oh, we'll take the 5% from each of the schools, which they've been trying to do? We don't want that. You know, listen, if it has to come to it on the state level, with this mayor and this chancellor, we might have to do away with mayoral control.
Take it away! What are you waiting for?
We might have to suspend it. And I'm sure the governor wouldn't mind helping us do that. You know.
What are you waiting for?
But we really have to do something like that. Well, as soon as we get up there. You know, and I'm making a pledge today. If we don't see any action, we should at least suspend it until his term is over. And until the chancellor is gone. You know what? That's just a distraction. They want to hear it. That's a distraction. We're going to get it done. We're going to have to change Maybe if they had gotten a good education, they would be better.
Hi, my name is Maria. And I'm 11 English. We are minority, we are to survive daily life. I have a big dream, Mayor Bill. Don't destroy our city's education systems. Let us show our dream becomes true. I want to go to college because I want to get a good job, so I can have money and live a good life with my family. I'm willing to work hard to achieve my dream, but I need your help. I need you to give me the best education so that I can prepare for college and be the best I can be. As a children, because COVID-19, we are already our country fall apart. Don't let education system be a part of failure.
Thank you, Tania. Those were really strong words. Thank you so much. Ms. Zeta, would you like to speak next? I'm so glad you're here today as the founder of the South Asian Fund for Education, Scholarship, and Training. I want to turn the mic to a new friend of mine from Queens, Miss Zeta Udine.
Now, don't let our minority under attack. We are minority. I am immigrant from Bangladesh. My name is Zeta Woody. I am Executive Director of South Asian Fund for Education, Scholarship and Training. Parents of 5 children from public school. Sufficient is an organization that provides service according to immigrants' needs. We work with the biggest cluster of Bangladeshi community members, and our service extended Pakistan and the South Asian Democratic and large at all 5 boroughs. The New York City of today is very diverse, more than 640 languages in New York City metropolitan area. I am requesting Mayor de Blasio, you are not done yet. You need to recreate our education system better than any other states. We are minority. You are attacking minority. You are attacking in our color.
That's right. That's right.
Minority children education are under attack. Please keep gifted and talented programs in the city public school. They inspire excellence and motivate the students to try their best.
That's right.
Without this program, the quality of education will definitely spiral downward. Let us maintain the gifted and talented programs in our school.
Yes, ma'am.
Allow these students to be best they can be. And Mayor de Blasio, prove us you are doing best the running city, and prove us you are the best mayor for minority children we are. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Up next is Senator Bernardis. He represents the 22nd Senate District in Brooklyn.
Yes, sir.
He is
Yes, sir.
Andrew. He's chairman of the Committee on Civil Service and Pensions and a friend and ally to the SHSAT.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. You know, I think what we're seeing here is really, really sad, because instead of having a conversation about how we can ensure academic excellence for everyone, we have a mayor and a chancellor who are dividing our educational community and playing politics about it. And when we play politics with things like education, we pit people against each other.
That's right.
Because in politics, someone has to win and someone has to lose. That's not what this should be about.
100%.
That's not what this is about. We all need to be working towards an educational system that has academic excellence for everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We have had a mayor and a chancellor who have chosen to divide us and not bring us together to all work towards that same common goal that everybody wants.
Yes, sir.
Regardless of who they are or where they come from or when they come here or where they live. We've known since March that schools have been closed.
That's right.
And we are waiting for answers to questions.
Unbelievable.
We still have schools, as was said earlier, without nurses, without guidance counselors, without social workers. And still, we're waiting for answers. But there's no problem for Tweed to hire dozens of executive superintendents to do the work of everybody else all over again. Yet we keep getting told we don't have answers. We don't know, oh, we can't afford that. It's no problem for Tweed to keep hiring more and more educational consultants and yet keep families in the dark telling us they don't have the manpower to answer the questions that are caused by their own policy decisions.
Yes, sir.
It's not acceptable. All of our students deserve better than this. All of our students deserve leadership better than this.
Absolutely.
And until we get leadership better than this, we are unfortunately going to keep being pitted against each other in this round and round battle without actually helping kids, and that is what we all care about.
Yes, sir. That's what they want. They want to raise the race.
We're going to keep fighting for answers. We're going to keep pushing City Hall and keep pushing DOE and keep pushing and pushing and fighting until they give us the answers that we deserve and until they give us the educational system that our students deserve. Thank you.
Absolutely. Very well said. Very well said.
Thank you so much, Senator Bernardes. Next, we're going to have Representative Sandra Ung, who is Special Assistant to Congresswoman Grace Meng, speak, representing the 6th Congressional District in Queens.
Good afternoon, I'm Sandra Oh. I'm here on behalf of Congresswoman Grace Meng, and I have a statement to make. Parents interested in screening their children for GNT program, competitive academics at middle and high school, should that hang in limbo. Kids across Queens and throughout the city have been preparing for these screenings, and parents have been trying to plan accordingly. But we still do not know the screenings will take place. Parents must be provided with the information they need, and we must also know how students will be accepted into these programs, and school next fall, testing does not take place. I also stand with parents opposed to permanently changing the testing process and keeping educational opportunities for all our kids. This will be a challenging year for all New Yorkers, including parents and students, public school families. We deserve answers. Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Next, we have Saman. She is the Deputy District Director from the office of Congressman Max Rose, representing the 11th Congressional District in Brooklyn.
Thank you to all the organizers and fellow elected officials for being here. Congresswoman Rose strongly stands and proudly with all you and regrets that he's unable to join you today. But I'll be reading a statement on his behalf. I wish I could say I was surprised that once again this administration has failed students and their families of the city. For years, the mayor and chancellor have sought in different ways to undermine the gifted and talented programs, the screen schools, and SHSAT for years. The community has led the fight to protect them. And for years, I've been proud to stand with the community to protect invaluable programs. Oh, I'm sorry.
A little louder, please.
Okay.
It is on.
So I join with you in calling for a detailed plan for the future of our GNT and SHAT, because it's unacceptable that the highest office officials are leaving our families in the dark when it comes to one issue that is most important to the city and to us, its education. Yet I'm not surprised at the lack of planning, forethought, and engagement with the community that has characterized this. Sorry, guys. That has characterized this administration's approach time and time again. Attempting to do away with GNT and SHAT and screen schools is admitting that the administration has failed to increase our city's education standards and make more students competitive applications for these programs. We need an administration that will commit to preserving the gifted and talented programs, screen schools, and SHSAT, and lift up underperforming schools and students so they have a shot at changing their life through education. Yes. These programs are the pride of our city, and rightfully so. We cannot throw in the towel when it comes to empowering our students with the best possible education we can give them. The mayor and the chancellor must disclose their plan for these programs, and I commit to working with my fellow elected officials to ensure this happens. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Simone, for these kind words from Congressman Maxwell. We have Sujin Lee. She is the Education Policy Director from Senator John Liu's office.
Hello, everyone. Hello, can everyone hear me?
Loud, loud.
Awesome. Hello, I'm Sujin Choi from Senator John Liu. Okay, President speaking up here today. I want to deliver his message very quickly.
Let us speak!
Okay. 2020 has been a year of a pandemic and turmoil, and students and their families, as well as teachers.
Demonstrated effort by Mayor de Blasio and Chancellor Carranza, who seems bent on destroying the reputation specialized at a high school, and the success of the gifted and talented program must be stopped. We owe that to our children. We owe that to our parents. We owe that to all the educators and the taxpayer of our city. In the New York State Assembly and as a candidate for mayor, I fought against Bill de Blasio plans, forcing him to back down on some. I am proud to stand with you as we continue the effort to preserve the two great programs in our public schools. So down to the bottom, Metro Manitakas, Assemblywoman for Study Island, want to tell you guys to say that. Save our schools!
Save our schools! Save our schools! Save our schools! Save our schools! Save our schools! Save our schools!
Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much. I want to give the floor now to the parent leaders that have been fighting to keep our school admissions, fighting to keep an expanding GNT, fighting to keep competitive admissions, and fighting for the SHSAT. First up from our parent leaders will be Deborah Alexanders. Deborah.
Thank you, Yasmin. Listen, politics often divides us because we have different ideologies. Contrary, however, to divisive, inflammatory, and inaccurate rhetoric, we all want the same things. We may disagree on how to achieve them, but don't be fooled by the hypocrites who say what was good for my kid last year is suddenly an abomination. We want to open the umbrella. We want the children who are going unseen to get their appropriate education. We need universal GNT assessment in an opt-out model.
Absolutely.
Universal Shazat testing. We need to talk to accelerated educators who will tell you that GNT education is not a prize to be won or redistributed. These are children with particular educational needs that the DOE wants to dismiss as quote-unquote smart kids. Have the opponents of this designation bothered to learn about them?
No.
Maybe they should read some books.
Yeah.
I apologize to all the kids whose circumstances are exacerbated by the uncertainty the DOE has caused by not releasing an admissions policy that they are either too incompetent to have figured out or are too busy not wasting a good crisis.
That's right.
Finally, to the kids in neighborhoods whose opportunities were stolen by the DOE. Our opponents might not see you. We see you. We believe in you. Access to accelerated education for all.
Yes.
She is a staunch advocate for accelerated education and a co-founder of Place NYC.
As Yachin said, my name is Maud Marin and I'm a public school parent. And as many of you know, I strongly support what we all know we need in this city, which is integrated schools with high academic academic standards that meet the needs of all children.
Yes.
New York City public school kids have a right to a great education, which lets them live up to their true potential. And there's so much potential in every borough, in every district, in every school. We know that every child can benefit from a more challenging and rigorous education than they're getting right now. Yes. Our schools are essential, and we need them open. Schools can't be last on the list behind restaurants, dentists, retail stores. Yes. Children's education and children's development can't wait. There's a growing body of evidence that makes clear we can open our schools safely. I don't hear from our mayor or our chancellor a plan to reopen our schools.
He has none.
And I don't hear a plan to offer the SHSAT,
Not
to
happening.
expand gifted and talented programs, or to even tell us how our children will receive grades so we can know if they're learning right now. They've had 8 months to plan this, and all we hear is, not yet, or worse yet, it's political. Playing politics with our children's education is not acceptable. This is not the time to dismantle successful programs. As other folks have said, we have 160,000 kids who are looking for a middle school or a high school, and parents deserve answers. Families need to know where their children are going to go to school. They need to know that the programs that they've depended on will still be there, and they need to know how the process is going to work. Shame on the chancellor and mayor. New York City families deserve better.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say one more thing. I have here in my hand the permit that we sought to come here and speak today at this event. And I want to say that I don't think I know all the answers for how to fix all the things that are wrong in the schools. And there are people who have different ideas than me and different notions of how to fix things, and I welcome that conversation with other parents. Respectful conversation with people who have different ideas of how to share, how to reach our shared goals should be the norm. Trying to silence people and shame people and bully people so that they can't be heard is unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
In our democracy. And the people who want to silence parents should be ashamed of themselves.
We have representatives from many different elected officials. We've received statements, so I just want to acknowledge that we have a representative from Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams' office. We have representatives from Council Member Justin Brennan's office.
Thank you.
We have, I want to make sure I don't miss anyone. We have a representative from Council Member Robert Holden's office.
Thank you.
And we have statements from Senator Stavisky.
Thank you.
Senator Comrie.
Thank you.
Assembly Member Andrew Hevesy.
Thank you.
Council Member Karen Kozovitz.
Thank you.
Council Member Barry Grotenek. I want to move on and give the floor to our parents, our concerned parents, our New York City citizens. I want to give them the voice. So next up, I want to invite Kaushik Das. I saw him earlier, if he can come up and speak. Where is he? Is Kaushik here? Kaushik is here. Great.
First of all, let me ask all of you, how many of you are first-generation immigrants? Me! Second-generation immigrants? Keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Second generation. How many of you are Latin descent, of Hispanic descent, of Jewish descent? Asians? All of you! The DOE calls you privileged!
That's it.
The DOE calls you, I don't know what else they call you. They say that you have access to education that they don't. Do you?
We're not minorities. We're not minorities.
Are you minorities? Are you white adjacent? Because that is what the DOE would have you believe.
No!
That is not what I believe. I believe, and we all believe, that everyone here has access to education, and accelerated education for their kids, and appropriate education for their kids. That means if they're performing above standards, that education gets to be met. If they're performing and they need special needs, that also gets to be met. This does not make us racist. Do I look racist to you?
No!
I do? I look
No!
racist. systemic racism. Is that what you would have all these people believe? Okay. It doesn't matter. My daughter goes to 5th grade. We go to a school that is half G&T, half Gen Ed. People that believe in equality would eliminate the G&T aspect of our school. Do you know what happens to our school when that happens? The school ceases to exist. It ceases to exist for Black and Hispanic students. It ceases to exist for Asian students, white students, all students, purple students, green students, don't care. It ceases to exist for all of them. Is this equality for you? No! This is what the DOE wants. This is what they want. This is not what we want. This is not what we stand for. We stand for accelerated education for all. We stand for education for all, period. This is what they don't understand.
They don't want to understand.
They don't want to understand. They don't even want to hear it. Any voice in opposition to theirs is an invalid voice. They want to nullify us by making this a violent protest. Yes. Is this violent?
No! Peaceful!
This is meant to be peaceful. We got permits, we arranged this, and they want to destroy what we have. They want to destroy accelerated education, schools that work. That is not what we want. That is not what we want for them either. Exactly. We want more. We want better schools for everyone. We want better schools. We want better schools in the outer boroughs. The DOE has failed the outer boroughs many times over. It has definitely, I agree with them, it has failed Black and Hispanic students everywhere, including my daughters who are half Hispanic. It has failed them everywhere. We want better education everywhere in this city. It is not about eliminating schools that work. It is about elevating all other schools.
Yes, sir.
Give everyone appropriate education wherever possible. In every district, in every county, in every borough, in every school.
Yes, sir.
This is what we believe.
He's another co-founder of Place and a parent that I've been working with for over a year. Chen, you have the floor.
Thank you everybody. I don't think I can finally push, but I'll try. My dear fellow parents, New Yorkers, and Americans, I want to make clear the underlying principles of our rally today and of our cause every day. Let there be no misunderstanding or from detractors making false accusations. We advocate on behalf of all children to have access to appropriate, rigorous, and high-quality education to meet their needs, to help them achieve mastery of math, ELA, science, and all subjects, so that they can succeed in higher education, have high-paying careers in the future, and good life outcomes. We don't have that today for all our children. We need more opportunities. Today, gifted and academically rigorous programs and specialized high schools are few, far away, and takes highly engaged parents that not all children are lucky enough to have. We want to make them available everywhere. Give students access with a simple process and enough seats for all children who want to be in such programs. Right now, there's shortages here. You can't, even if you qualify for G&T, you don't have a seat.
There's no room.
Yes.
Expand G&T! Expand G&T!
Expand G&T! And we want to make sure that every grade, children of every grade, and especially those graduating high school, they are told the truth about where they stand academically. Right now, there's grade fraud. The DOE gives passing grades or high grades to kids who don't show up, who don't do the work, who don't take the tests. Does that help them?
No!
Does that help kids succeed in life if they're just passed without knowing math?
No!
Teens take charge. Do kids succeed in life if you can't do the math?
No.
Can you get a job if you can't do the math or read?
They can throw a bottle.
But we're trying to help to this cause, to make sure that every child that passes a grade, passes high school, is at least proficient, if not mastery level. We want all kids to succeed. That's what we're all about. Let no detractors tell you otherwise. Join our cause. We push City Hall. Mayor de Blasio, Chancellor Carranza, tell them get out of town, get out of education. They failed all our students, and they indeed are putting us against each other. Let's not do that anymore. Let's fight for the same cause, for all our children.
All
Thank you.
children. All children.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have David Rem. He is a parent of a student at Stuyvesant and a huge supporter of the SHSAT.
I want to thank everybody here, all parents for all children in New York City. Thank you very much for being here. We need to keep gifted and talented programs and the specialized high school for all New York City's children. Does everybody hear me? For all New York City's children. Recently, the DOE's Adriana Austin, who's the Deputy Chancellor, stated that the specialized high school test is political. No, it's not. They are making it political. It's a test for all children of any color, race, creed to take. Chancellor Carranza and Mayor Bill de Blasio want to kill gifted and talented programs for all New York City kids. Carranza, when in a room unaware that he was being taped recently, had the audacity to state, never let a good crisis like the COVID-19 pandemic that I almost died from go to a waste. Carranza's daughter went to what is described as the Stuyvesant of California, namely the Screen School, Lowell High School in San Francisco. Bill de Blasio's daughter went to the Screen School, Beacon High School, and his son, Dante, went to Brooklyn Tech and then on to Yale University. So, ladies and gentlemen, the screened New York City's, they are hypocrites. The screened New York City's schools and the specialized high schools are good enough for their children, Carranza's and de Blasio's, but they want you to believe that somehow they're not good enough for your children, or your children shouldn't even aspire to go to those schools. We should never believe this fallacy. In October 2020, the wonderful organization Pacific Legal Foundation produced a documentary entitled Dream Factories regarding the unfair racial quota-based entry discovery program into the specialized high schools via the discovery program, which is not merit-based. One of the persons interviewed that impacted me tremendously was a gentleman, or is a gentleman by the name of Robert Lowry, a top Brown University economist who was also an African-American gentleman. Give me 1 second here, I lost my place. Yes, sir. Mr. Lowry's main focus, well, first of all, he's an African-American, one of the top African-American economists in the world, Brown University. His main focus was and is to let me fail, he's speaking for himself, let me fail or succeed based on my own merit. And that it would mean nothing to Mr. Lowry. It would mean zero to Mr. Lowry if, for example, Black Lives Matter would have petitioned for his approval of the top economist just based on his skin color. He wouldn't even accept the award. We need to fight de Blasio and Carranza for keeping gifted and talented and the specialized high school test. And we should call on de Blasio to fire the incompetent, racist Richard Carranza immediately. Fire Carranza! I'm gonna close in Spanish for the Hispanics out here in the audience. My daughter is she's born to a first-generation Colombian mom, standing right there, okay? She attends Stuyvesant. She gained entry into Stuyvesant not by the Discovery Program, but by merit-based. And me as her father, I would not accept an entry into Stuyvesant or any of the other specialized high schools if it was based on the discovery. That is insulting. It is insulting to Black and Hispanic parents to think, for them to think or try to push down their throats that their kids aren't smart enough to gain entry into those schools on their own merit. I will wrap up in Spanish. Nosotros somos hispanos y estamos soportando completamente los programas de Gifted y Talentoso y también las escuelas screened en Nueva York y también los 8 escuelas especializadas como Stuyvesant, Brooklyn Tech, Bronx Science, York College, en los otros 8. Nosotros los hispanos y Bill de Blasio y Carranza, escucha esto, su misma gente, hispanos, ya hemos perdido la confianza en usted. Hemos perdido la confianza del racista señor Richard Carranza y pedimos al alcalde de Bill de Blasio que deben echar la racista de Richard Carranza inmediatamente por ser totalmente incompetente para ser líder de los 1.1 millones de estudiantes, todos los estudiantes, no blancos, no negros, no chinos, no indianos, no bangladeshis, todos los estudiantes en Nueva York. Échale al señor Richard Carranza al fuego. Fire Richard Carranza. Fire the racist. Fire Richard Carranza. Fire Richard Carranza. I forgot to mention one important thing. The tax exam, which is the exam for all of New York City's Catholic high schools, has just been announced that it is going to be given on November 6th. So why hasn't de Blasio and Carranza announced when the specialized test is going to be given? It's very simple. They don't want to give the test, but they need to announce. If they're not going to give it, announce you're not going to give it.
Next, we have a parent from Booker T. Washington, Miss Maria Berensky.
Thank you. I would like to address my comments to the mayor. Looking at us, we can ask a question. Why are we here today? Well, there are 2 reasons for me why we're here. The first one is because we want to provide our children with a good education. Look around you. What do you see? Ordinary New Yorkers, working class families, many immigrants, first-generation Americans, second-generation Americans, all concerned about the quality of education and all wanting the best for their children. The mayor should understand that. His own child went to Brooklyn Tech. I'm sure that mayor is proud of his son making the cut.
Brooklyn Tech, yeah!
Well, our kids also want to make the cut.
That's right.
They work hard, they study, they achieve, they want to be challenged. It is that drive that keeps America great and makes for an educated civil society that can distinguish between demagoguery and true leadership. Furthermore, as taxpayers, our tax dollars go to funds spent on the schools. Frankly, our hard-earned dollars don't go very far in New York City. But we do have the specialized high schools, the jewels of this mostly failing public school system. And no one should be able to take them away from us.
That's right.
Especially by preaching false ideology.
Right.
The second reason that we're here is that we want to remind the mayor and his chancellor to obey the law. The Heck-Calandra Act mandates that the SHSAT shall be the sole determining criteria for admission to these schools. The act is still on the books, and the test must be administered. We have about 100,000 New York City residents, school children and their parents impacted by the politics of this administration. That is a lot of anxious and frustrated voters. Education should not be politicized, and as a publicly elected official, the mayor is expected to follow the law. Politicians should not stoop to using a health crisis as a means of depriving our children of education. Open the registration for the HSAT. Thank you.
Thank Thank you so much, Maria, for your words. Next, I want to introduce Rokia. Rokia, please come up.
All children matter. 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 All children matter.
And I requested, don't attack our children education. Please save our children and save our city. We are not terrorists. Before we please give our children gifts.
Thank you, Rokia. Thank you very much. Next, we have Dong Hui Zhang. He is president of the New York City Residents Alliance and a huge supporter of accelerated education, and a parent of 2 children in specialized high schools.
Go ahead, Dong.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Yating, Lucas. Thank you for all the parents. And thank you, Mr. Toten, and all the elected officials. We keep the test for 2018, for 2019, and we are going to keep it again for this year. Keep the test! 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 Okay. I live in Queens for 18 years, and my 2 kids go to New York City public schools, which is now still struggling for the school reopening for the COVID-19 war, and is now under the greatest threat of the mayor and the chancellor. Now let me tell you the reason why I want to keep the test. I was born in a small village of China at the early 70s. Under the planned economics, all the families were very poor. My entire family's monthly budget was only $1 US.
Wow.
Well, every year there was only one student, one high school graduate in the village got recommended by the village officials to attend college. You can imagine that students must be relatives of the village officials. The people just see no hope to go outside of the world. Most students, they even go to high school. They even drop the middle school because they see no future. My uncle and my father were best students of their classes, but they had no chance to study in college because there was no exam. It was by recommendation.
Who you know? It was who you know.
Yeah, and then Mao died. Deng Xiaoping came to power in 1978. He restarted the National College Entrance Exam in 1978. I remember, even though at that time I was very young, I was only 6 years old, I remember how a lot of families in my village, they were cheerful, they got excited, because now they see hope, The students had the incentives to study, to pass the entrance exam, to go outside of the world. And the parents see hope that through the exam, then they let their children not staying in the small village for the whole life as them. And then I came to the United States in 1995 by taking the GRE test and submitting my transcripts. I was like all my generations of Chinese students at that time. We knew America was the strongest country of the world. We thought America gave everyone more opportunities, much more opportunities than China. Everyone can make a great life and success, and then contribute to the society by working hard, studying hard. When we came, we had never ever expected that one day in this country was going back to copy the policies of the late 60s and the 70s of China by trying to eliminate all the tests. How can a school be still called a school without tests?
Exactly.
How can the Olympic game be still called the Olympic game without racing?
Crazy.
Yes,
70% of Stevenson students were Asian. Yeah, but what they don't say is that 6% of them were from low-income families.
Poor people.
Their parents, those parents, they don't have privilege. I came this morning, 3 parents were with me in my car, and one she came 30 years ago. She and her husband doing restaurant, doing clothing factory, and another lady was also doing clothing factory when she came. And their kids was studying in Hunter, studying in Stevenson, studying in Brooklyn Tech. They didn't have privilege. So they came to the United States just like me, to see the American dream for themselves and for them children. The only reason that they can get into the school was because the families, the Asian families, pay attention for education. They save for education. They don't go vacation. They don't go restaurant. They save their time. They save their money for their children's education. And that's something should be followed, should be encouraged, not to be punished. Yes, only 20% of the current Stevenson High School students were Hispanic and black. And that was totally unacceptable. But it was not fault of any of the tests. We all know that many years ago, Ms. Colton told us that more than half students in Brooklyn Tech were African American students. What has changed then? The mayor and the chancellor had failed to educate so many children, especially the black and Hispanic children. So they were responsible for that. Yeah, and they were trying to cover their failure by getting rid of the evidence. It's a crime for our children. The test competition inspires kids to learn. ABC letters and mathematics don't discriminate. Not only tests inspires the kids to learn, the test itself is part of the learning process. Reviewing before and after tests are important parts of the learning process. And today we're here to defend those tests. So,
thank you. Thank you!
We have seen enough bullshit from this mayor and this chancellor. So we need a new leadership of our city. Under the current New York City mayor's leadership, New York City students every New York City student spend $25,000 money. That's twice as the national average. Yet only 46% of students can read or do math at the math level. That's not acceptable. So we want a new leadership. We want a new leadership to stop all those bullshit, to restore the safety and justice, and to give accelerated quality education for every New York City student. Thank you.
We need the test. Next, I want to introduce Mr. Lester Chang. He is a candidate for the senator seat in District 26.
I'm Lester Chang. Thank you very much. I represent, once I go to Albany, I will represent here in Lower Manhattan.
Yes, sir.
And once I'm out in Albany, one thing I will make sure of, we will protect the test.
Yes, sir.
Expand G&T.
Exactly.
And kick out Kwanzaa.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lester.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Mark Shukevich. He is a candidate for the Assembly in Assembly District 46 in Brooklyn.
Yeah!
Thank you everyone for coming out today and making your voices heard, and a special thanks to Place NYC for putting this together. One thing I think we all can agree on is that funding for our education should be a top priority.
Yes, sir.
We need more funding for more programs for the gifted and talented students.
Yes, sir.
We need more funding for more specialized schools. And lowering the standards is not the answer. We need to reward hard work and effort. Now, MIT has about 10% minority students. If they lowered their standards, would that be a good thing?
No!
Testing is important, not just for schools, but for life. I was a stockbroker at 19. I had to pass the Series 7. I couldn't go to the NASD and say, well, you know, I didn't test well. A lawyer who can't pass the bar exam can't go and say, you know what, I didn't test well, but I did well in law school, I know the material, I should still be a lawyer. Okay? Lowering the standards is not the answer, but more gifted and talented programs and more specialized schools is the answer to give more opportunities for students of all races. And if I'm elected into the assembly, I will fight with education being a top priority and funding for some of those programs. And thank you again, everyone, for coming out today and making your voices heard and doing it peacefully. Thank you, everyone.
More, not less! More, not less! More, not less! More, not less!
I want to introduce another parent. She is a mom of a student at PS 33 in Manhattan. Her name is Motoko Shibuju.
Hi. First, thank you everyone for working so hard with the intention of making New York City a better place for everyone, especially for our next generation. It takes a village to raise a child. We are all raising our children together in this beautiful city. I came to America hungry for diversity. I came to New York City loving the energy of the people in this city. Thank you, New York City, for raising my children with me. My children love their schools. When I asked if they wanted to come with me today, they were excited. And then realized it was Friday and they didn't want to miss school. They love their schools so much. But I know not all the students in New York City loves their schools in the same way. Why? I am here to ask a question. DOE, why do you spend millions of dollars, time and resources in theoretical training of DOE staff and privileged people and the restructuring plan? Not clear to us. Why don't you spend that money for iPads, Wi-Fi connection, and IT help for those students in immediate need instead? Or to extend the single shepherd program to younger students, even pre-K families, in this difficult time. Students in some charter schools are performing excellent in the very same neighborhood, in the very same community that many students are left behind in public schools. How can we uplift them in public schools like they do in some charter schools? I am a strong believer of early childhood education. Uplifting and empowerment must start from an early age. Why are there so few gifted and talented elementary school programs in some neighborhoods? Have you even done enough outreach to those parents and families? My daughter's daycare teacher and parent friends told me that my daughter should take the GNT test, and it's free, so I did. But there was no outreach from DOE. Why not? I am sure there are advanced learners everywhere, not challenged enough, therefore lost interest in school. Please don't throw away what's working. Please don't take away the only access for advanced learning for our children in this city. Many of us have no means to send our children to private schools. Please don't make advanced learning a privilege for only the rich. Expand the access to gifted and talented programs across the city. Offer real help to those in need. There's no true integration until you truly uplift everyone. Please be transparent, include us, and let's work together for our children together. Thank you very much.
The parent who feels inspired to speak, his name is Mr. Georgi Petrov.
Oh, I'm a first-time immigrant in the United States. I have 2 children in the U.S. public system. And one of the greatest things about this country is the idea that if you work hard, you can achieve everything. So the only thing we're asking for is that to let our kids prove that they work hard, to enforce the law as it's currently written, and give us a date for the test. It's very simple. That's it.
To close our press conference and rally is Ms. Wei-Wa Chin. She is the charter president of Kakagni. Welcome, Wei-Wa.
Thank you very much. I really want to thank everybody who's come here. Such great things that were said by everybody for all of our children. All our children. We must keep our educational standards high and encourage more kids to be able to achieve them. We have a mayor and a chancellor who do not know how to do it. So they're covering up. They're covering up and saying, if I don't know how to fix this disease, I'm going to throw away the thermometer. That is not what you do in a pandemic. You take more thermometers out. So please, we parents here, we know that the only way to achieve a better community is for all of us to be able to study better and well with all our community. So, thank you all and keep studying.
Thank you for coming. Save our schools! Save our schools! Save our schools! Save our schools! Save our schools!
Save our school! 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 Thank you! Thank you for everyone! Thank you for coming! Go home safe! Okay? The rally's over, but the walk is not over, okay? Go back, tell everyone about what you support, and remember to vote November 1st. Whoever you vote for, remember to vote. Thank you.
Thank you.